Hello, everyone, and welcome back to News and Improved. We are excited to have you on today's show. I am one of your hosts, Tori Darnell, and this is...
Hi, I am Simon Bessler. Apologies for the technical difficulties. We have a new intern working, and let's just say they might not be an intern for very long. Anyways, we're going to talk a little bit about current events that are happening, so I will pass that right back on to Tori.
So, our first news headline today is Oppenheimer gets a music release. Simon, what are your feelings on this?
That's really fascinating because I feel like with such a dark movie, it might take away some of that impact, but also it might add more impact. Kind of like maybe as you would see like an opera, like act until the emotion gets so high that you have to sing, and then sing until it gets so high that you need to dance. I wonder if like just at the big finale when everything just kind of like builds, they just break into dance. I think that'd be a really interesting way to add to the movie, and I think it might be pretty successful to an audience, but maybe another audience would absolutely hate it. So yeah, that's very fascinating. And all right, next one, Tori, what are your thoughts on Big Slime announces mayor campaign?
I think that Big Slime announcing their mayoral campaign is a huge thing. You know, slime has been such a controversial topic throughout the world and throughout the U.S., especially among school children. So I wonder if having Big Slime running for mayor, if this does end up going in their favor and they become mayor, if slime will now be a big part of our society and our world. So I wonder how it's going to work with like school children, if they're now going to be allowed to have slime, because slime has been banned in so many of the schools in the U.S. because of fights and just the overall messiness of slime. So, we'll see. Only time will tell. But we're moving on to the next headline. Simon, what do you think about Taylor Swift being announced as the new Queen of England?
I don't know how to feel about that because I think she is American, so I don't quite know how that one works. But I guess she could have married into the royal family, but I don't think she's married. But I might be wrong. I'm not very hip on the new trends of Taylor Swift and those kind of people in general. So I'd be interested to see how the UK population reacts to this information, because I don't know if Taylor Swift is so popular over there as she is in the US. It's very fascinating. Yeah. Anyways, breaking news, colossal Tier Time Live failure last week. We had a really bad technical problems. Another intern forgot to plug in the computer. We're really cycling through these interns. They're just not very good. So if you know anyone who's interested in this kind of news broadcast, let us know, and maybe they'll last more than a week. So Tori, what are your thoughts on that failure of a live stream?
I feel like there are just so many parts to making a successful live stream. And it's very difficult if you don't have everyone up to par and up to the standards that you need to run an event such as a live stream. It's very difficult. And I think nowadays people are trying to get into the business and just trying to do whatever they can to succeed, and it's not working. There are so many new people, and I think that we might as well stick with the people who are very experienced and very knowledgeable on these things. So, yeah, it's a hard subject, and they need to go to school for a lot longer to become successful, and hopefully we will get some people who know what they're doing. But yeah, if you guys know anyone, just call in to the Follow Upload and put in a resume, and maybe you too can be on our marketing team for our live streams. Okay, another one. This one is a bit crazy, and for all of you D&D fans out there, what have you done? Real dragon is summoned by Dungeons and Dragons fans. Simon, what do you think of this occurrence?
That's a real problem. I wish I would have heard about this earlier, but I guess it's not really in our area because I think we would have noticed. So that's at least good. You know, dragons are real interesting because I don't imagine that they are very stoked about the idea of, like, capitalism. They just seem very, like, old school, so I don't quite know if they could really migrate into our society as it is. Next up, TikTok sounds are being used incorrectly, and a lot of people are very torn up about this. Tori, why don't you give us some remarks?
So, lately, on the TikTok app, as you know, it has become very popular with the youngins and everything. But unfortunately, young people don't know how to use social media correctly. There have been a lot of reports of these teenagers and these children using these sounds that don't match the vibe of their TikTok videos. It's becoming quite a problem. Something that could be very funny and very entertaining is being set to dark and drastic music. And it's really confusing for those audience members. And I really hope that along in the future, maybe some more education for these young children who have grown up around social media and will continue to grow up around social media. Hopefully they get some lessons on how to use these social media campaigns and markets correctly, so not to upset the people and the viewers watching. Okay, so moving on to our next one. Almond haters have been raving about how almonds are awful and no one should eat almonds. There's a new trend going around social media, which is almonds are poison, because people who hate almonds would rather drink poison. Simon, what do you think about this?
That's fascinating, really. I think it's a real good look into what society can pull together to make people believe. It's a way of, like, brainwashing people into thinking things that aren't actually true just because more than one person is saying this and really believing it. And it's fascinating that a campaign driven by hate is so impactful in our society. It's fascinating, really. I wonder how we can use this to, like, our advantage, because, you know, recently it's all used to spread false information about almonds being poison and stuff like that. So I really wonder if we can use that strategy to band together as a society and, I don't know, possibly defeat that dragon that we were talking about. Speaking of banding together in society, Elon Musk announced Fortnite in real life. Now, that's the last one we're going to do, and we're going to go ahead and leave you in your thoughts with that one. Really think about, how would Fortnite in real life really be? So we're going to move on to our next segment, where we have a wonderful historian to tell us about some news.
Hello. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's segment of Historians. Today we have Brody Olson here to talk with us about some major historical events. So, Brody, in 1952, adventurers discovered the Big Slime. Would you like to elaborate on that for us?
You know, I'm very happy you brought up this cultural event because it has a lot of cultural significance to my family in particular. Mm-hmm. You know, I go by Brody Olson, but my real last name is truly Slime. So I'm happy you brought this up because even though some say it started in 1952, it really started to begin its rampage and its, socio-political structure in around the year 1890.
That is very interesting. So, how does it feel to be a part of this slime family? And how did you growing up, how did that affect you?
You know, it was hard growing up sometimes. Being a slime isn't always the most accepting thing. So, even though it was hard, it made me realize what staying true to yourself really means, which is why I hope to go on now being Brody Slime and no longer Brody Olson, because I want to truly embrace my heritage.
Right, that's awesome. So, was the fun toy slime that kids make, was that created from the slime family, or was it named after you guys, or kind of what is that connection, if there is one?
So, I'm also happy you brought that up because it's truly a remarkably terrible thing that happened. It was truly just people who were envious of the slime family and, weren't on our level. So they had to make their own little creation, as you could say, to try and meet our standards. But in reality, it did come close.
Wow, that is very accurate. How do you feel about slime? Do you play with slime? Do you enjoy making slime?
It depends, because if you're making slime with your family, it truly is a remarkable bonding opportunity. But if you're going to, let's say, Walmart and getting slime, I think you are supporting a truly terrible scheme that's going on behind the scenes to derail slime's legacy.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Our next topic that we want to talk to you about is in 2004, Gilbert Gottfried was elected president. How do you feel about that?
I'm really proud of the questions you're asking me today. These are truly remarkable. I believe the 2004 election was truly a very close match with, The Rock, Gilbert Gottfried. I think in the end, Gilbert Gottfried really deserved it, right, which is why I believe it was truly a remarkable turning point in history where, like I said, Slime's legacy was being ruined. Gilbert Gottfried actually supports Slime's legacy, which is why I'm so happy that, he got elected during that time. But yeah, I'm very happy you brought that up because it truly was a massive changing point in history, but also a massive changing point in my life.
Right. So I know that you are like an expert on history.
Yeah.
So Gilbert Gottfried, what were some of the bigger things that he accomplished during his presidency?
Well, I'm glad you asked because he established the first Gilbert Gottfried Care, which was remarkable. It was remarkable. I mean, started in North Carolina and really just spread through just amazing healthcare, amazing benefits. And, another one of his amazing accomplishments was the fact that he, in general, overcame The Rock in that election. It truly was a close-knit match between two very respectable men that, Gilbert Gottfried got the better of.
Right. Do you think that after Gilbert Gottfried won, that's why The Rock went into acting and continued that pursuit because he didn't win the election?
I don't know for sure. Even though I'm a magnificent expert on the historical arts, I don't really know much about The Rock because I don't follow him.
Right.
He's not a leader in my opinion, but I think there's a great argument for the fact that because he lost and his ego was hurt, he decided to go into something where he didn't have to use his brain and instead could just be The Rock.
Right. All right, well, we would like to move on to the next section. We would like to thank Brody Olson, Brody Slime.
Thank you.
And we will now be moving on to our next person.
All right, thank you for listening to the wonderful historian. Next, we have a world-famous, I almost called that a piano, wrong instrument, a famous guitar player, famously covered Beyonce songs, wrote Beyonce songs, was actually the lead campaigner of Taylor Swift becoming the queen. So, a lot of famous names. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Nora Kruger, and I've been playing guitar basically my whole life. I'm 79 years old, and so I started when I was 1. So it's always been a part of me, and I really feel like this world needs me. There's this sense of urgency for an amazing guitar player, and I felt that calling. So
very interesting. Yeah, what do you want to tell us a little bit about who you studied with, what college you went to, what are your favorite genres to play, stuff like that?
Yeah, so I went to Harvard for my first degree when I was about 13 years old. I was kind of late. But I then transferred over to Columbia, and then I transferred to UPenn, and I wasn't happy with any of their music programs. They tried to set this boundary on me. They tried to take something away from me that was so mine. And so I quit school. And I now own the Nora School of Music in New York. You might know it. It's very well known. Do you know Taylor Swift? Yes?
I do. Queen of England,
I
apparently.
taught her the guitar, everything you hear.
Oh.
Yes. Do you know John Borum?
Ah, yes.
I taught him the
Quite
guitar.
famous.
Yeah. So every famous person you can think of that knows anything about guitar, unless they're bad, it came from me.
All right. And before you give us a little sample, there have been rumors that you and Ed Sheeran had a little falling out after you taught him and he rejected your practices. Is that true, or is it just makeup?
I'm afraid that it is true, and
Shame.
it hurt my heart. But the truth is, Ed Sheeran, he has no musical value, and I really think he needs to leave the career industry to those more valued, because he has no talent, and he's really good at math, and we really don't need mathematicians, but at least he's good at it. So I don't know, we did have a falling out. I'm very disappointed in him is all I can say, and we were friends at one point.
Oh, that's such a shame. I know, I've heard he's very interested in the mathematics. He's thought about actually teaching math at Arizona University, which is very interesting. I don't know if they'll like him very much, though. So, well, Nora, why don't you give us a little sample of one of your famous songs?
I'd love to. This one is called I don't name my songs because I believe they are for the interpretation of whoever listens to it.
Oh, seem a little out of tune. You know, the weather's been really, really wet recently. A lot of rainstorms, some snow.
No, let me just, oh, yeah, no, you don't need to comment on that.
I won't. So, yeah, guitar's a really interesting instrument, because I've never personally played it, but I did. Oh, do you think it's ready? You know, I'm not a musician, but it still seems a little out of tune, is it?
Yeah, don't worry. I've got a tuner app right here. It's state of the art. It costed like $3,000, but you know, with all my like degrees and stuff, I could afford it. Okay.
Yeah. This is a really interesting tuning technique. I've never seen it in action before. Is this? Does this make the strings last longer or anything like that? Or okay.
I think we're good to go, but I get a lot of questions about my technique.
Yeah.
It's just because people don't understand, you know, a lot of people have undeveloped brains, but they just need to learn. So now that it's tuned, we're good to go. Oh, that sounds a little off to me. Just need to bring this back.
It's the humidity.
Yeah, no, the humidity really affects these types of things. So also these strings, I don't know. I'm using their rented guitar. It's horrible.
It is a rental, so please don't hurt it.
Are you okay? Okay. I knew a cat once. His name was Bobby. Oh my gosh. I don't know what kind of guitars they have here, but this is just...
So that was world famous guitarist Nora Kruger. Seemed to be having a little difficulty with our guitar. It might have been... You know, I have no idea what just happened there. I'm going to be fully honest. Guitar was in tune when we prepped it, but I guess the humidity really does get to it. we're going to move on now. So thank you for watching. We hope you're still here. Yeah. All right, now we are going to move into our segment with all of our wonderful guests. We are going to do an advice panel. So we have someone who's going to call in, and we're just going to, ask advice, give them some advice, that kind of jazz. So why don't you call our wonderful guest star, Parker?
Awesome.
Not right now. But
Your time is done.
Hello.
Hello, Parker.
Parker, everyone welcome Parker onto the show. Thank you, Parker, for being here.
Yeah.
So now, guests, why don't you give Parker some advice on how to deal with twin envy? We know that Parker has a twin, so sometimes it can be a little hard. So why don't you give some advice?
I think I have a great answer for this. I just think it's really disappointing that you haven't started your voyage to the Netherlands yet. You should have started that at least 30 years ago. And if you would have done this, you truly would have realized that twin envy is just an excuse to be a failure.
Interesting take. Thank you, Brody. Theo, do you have anything? Brody Slime. Apologies. Sorry.
So sorry.
You know what? Sorry. I respect twins, I promise. If you have envy for your twin, I think that maybe you should go to your mother and ask her why your twin was created so much better than you. And maybe your mother will have an answer for you, maybe she won't. If she does, she'll tell you how your twin was created so much better. Then you can, maybe unbetter your twin and better yourself.
Yes.
Very true. Nora, what would you like to say?
I'm surprised that our historian hasn't touched on this, but if you look back in history, when twins are fighting for the throne, there is a simple answer, none of this. You just kill the other one. So,
I think I would have pressed on that if it truly was a historic matter, but I believe you're just babbling swinish maneuvers.
All right. Parker, do you think that advice is helpful, or is it just making you sad?
Well, Simon, this has been really meaningful. You guys have really dug down deep into the problem that I've been having. And you know what, Nora? I think you're right. I'm going to listen to history and I'm going to go kill my twin.
All right, but don't leave so soon, Parker. We have some more advice.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Why do you need a pet shark? Specifically, a great white shark. Do you have any advice for why great white sharks are such a good pet? Because I know Parker's been on the fence of getting that or a dog. So, do any of you have any advice?
I do.
I think you should, in my opinion, you should have done this long ago, but I think you should buy a pet beluga whale. And you should ride this to the Netherlands, like I'm saying. This is the place of promise and truly the place of dreams. Now, I don't really know if there's hope for you, just for the fact that you haven't done these things yet. And truly, I have no respect for you.
Well, for those of you listening that don't know, I'm actually an author, and I do have a pet shark already. Well, you know what I'm going to share with you? They make excellent writing companions, If you are ever having writer's block or struggling to come up with a name or anything, sharks, they got it down, man. They can tell you anything you need to know. They make great pets for writing. And you know what? I don't know if they're great for, painting or music. Maybe Nora can tell
I have
us
some
about
experience.
that.
I believe they are, with
They are?
painting especially. Yeah.
Oh, good, interesting. Well, my shark personally is a fantastic writer and helped me very much on my book.
Fantastic.
Miss Nora, do you have anything to tell to Parker?
Before I jump in to letting you have a shark, do you have the capability of giving this shark a home? Because from what I can tell, Theo is not a rich author, which means they are living in not a rich area, so there's no way they have the capability of providing for this shark. So if you can't provide for a shark, don't even get a dog. If you can't provide for anyone, you don't even deserve a fish, Parker, so think about that first.
I think you should learn how to tune your guitar.
All right, Parker.
So there seems to be a little bit of tension. Parker, for this, how do you feel from this advice? Are you more willing to get a shark now, or are you still looking for that dog?
Well, apparently I don't even deserve a goldfish, so I don't think... I was just going to put the thing in a public pool, but I guess that's not the way to go, man. My ego's been a little hurt so far, but, I've learned some things, so thank you.
All right, and last thing before you leave, we hear that you actually have an A- instead of an A+, so why don't you shame Parker a little bit for that?
As you can tell by the glasses I have on, I truly am a master of getting A+ left and right. Now, I believe that once again, your main issue is the fact that you don't start sooner. You were always late on everything. You haven't gone to the Netherlands. I mean, come on. I'm not Brody Slime for no reason. You need to travel to the Netherlands, and you need to do it now.
You know what? If you don't have A+, I think Nora's right, and you don't deserve a goldfish.
Very true. Nora, what would you like to say to this?
I don't think Brody should be on this segment or that you should be listening to him, because Brody Slime couldn't even get into my music school, couldn't get into Harvard, couldn't get to anything. So I wouldn't listen to him. Listen to me.
Now, what if I...
No.
All right, folks. Thank you, Parker. Do you have any closing remarks?
Wait.
Joke's on you guys. My worst grade is...
All right. Thank you for coming to our advice panel. We're going to move along to our last main segment with our wonderful author, Theo.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this week's segment of our author. We have today Theo. You saw them in the last section. Today, we are going to be talking about one of Theo's world classic books. Theo, I would like you to talk about Her Hidden Amish Child.
Her Hidden Amish Child. You know, this was one of the earliest books that I wrote, and it was truly an experience, you know. To learn more about the Amish, I of course visited New York City, the
Right.
capital of Amish.
Yeah.
And you know, it was just such a worldview expanding experience, and I decided that the world needed to expand its view. So I wrote about the Amish. Of course, in the story, this mother from New York has an Amish child, but she doesn't want anyone to know, so she moves to Pennsylvania.
That's very deep. I personally have not read this book, so I'm not super familiar. What kind of story is this? Does it end in happiness or tragedy, or how would you kind of describe the tone?
So you know, it's kind of a cross between a murder mystery and a romance. Of course, it's pretty hard to write romance for Amish people, so that's where the murder part came in.
Yeah.
I would say it has a very deep ending. I think that everybody who reads Her Hidden Amish Child has a lesson to learn from it.
Right. That's very powerful. Why the Amish in particular? What made you choose this group to write about?
You know, I think they're just such a relatable and powerful group of people that I think the rest of the world should try to, you know, embody their values.
That is amazing. So, on to the next book that Theo has written, 100 Ways to Cook an Egg. This is very different than Her Hidden Amish Child. What inspired you to write this?
So you know, this was actually the first book that I wrote in the company of my pet shark.
Wow.
So the shark gave me the idea. I was cooking an egg one morning, and the shark said, "You should write a book about this." So, of course, I wrote a book about, you know, what it is to be a shark in the modern world, and how, you know, the shark's experience with all of these different species of fish and mammals in the ocean is like 100 different eggs. And how the shark deals with these species is how a human might cook an egg.
That is beautiful. I never knew that there could be such inciting things about cooking eggs, so thank you for sharing that. Now on to your life a little bit. You know, you've written many books. What has been the best part about being an author?
You know, I think it's really the experience that comes with it. You know, I've met so many amazing people, other amazing authors, like, you know, Neil Gaiman is my good friend.
Right.
And it's also super cool getting to have a pet shark. And I would like to clarify that I do live by the sea, and my shark chooses to come to me willingly.
Wow, that is amazing. What's your shark's name?
Oh, I named her Coco.
Coco. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
So, before we move on, are there any regards to or inspirational quotes that you could give our young audiences who may be looking to be authors?
You know what? I think if you want to be an author, never say what you mean directly, you know? Always use metaphors. And if you can use alliteration, do it.
Wow, that is truly amazing. Well, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you for
We
having me.
are going to move on to the last part of our show today. And thank you again for coming.
Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for coming to this run of News and Improved. We had some very interesting guests on today, and I don't know if they'll be back anytime soon.
You know, who knows? We love having new people on the show and to express their talents and show off their art. And sometimes those people aren't, well, they don't understand.
They're a little camera shy.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, maybe in the future we have a little bit of a harder process of getting the guests on. But
Possibly.
that is for us to decide later. We are so happy that we had the amazing historian, the amazing musician, and the amazing author here with us today. Even though they did fight a little bit, we are so thankful that they decided to take time out of their busy, busy lives to join us this afternoon.
Yes, and it was a fantastic show. And actually, we just found out one of our guests from our last show, the fantastic movie critic, James, it's actually his birthday. So if we could all say happy birthday, James, I bet he would really appreciate that. And, you know, maybe he'll give you a good movie recommendation. But yeah, I think that's about all we have for today. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate you tuning in.
We hope to see you next time, and we hope you have a fantastic week, day, month,
Yes, we
morning,
do, and
night.
happy Thanksgiving. Shout out again to our board boy, Wesley, and James. Happy birthday. So, and shout out to those no longer interns. So thank you. Have a